The One Chicago crossover saw all three units respond to a major gas explosion in a government building, bringing together all three shows. The 3-hour event became one of the most intense in the One Chicago franchise as several characters from each show worked together and argued to resolve the problem at hand. A few key characters also faced life-and-death situations, and others made challenging decisions while trying to save the lives of civilians and investigating who caused the explosion. It's been 5 years since the last One Chicago crossover, Infection, which involved deadly bacteria spreading in the city of Chicago. What makes the current crossover, In the Trenches, special is the omission of old characters like the Halstead brothers, Matt Casey, Haley Upton, and Chief Bowden, along with the inclusion of new characters like Dermot Mulrooney's Chief Pascal and Dr. Lennox, and viewing how they deal with a major crisis. This crossover event also saw intriguing matchups that showed the combined skills of firefighters, doctors, and police officers. 5. Violet McCamey and John Frost. An unexpected pairing that surprisingly works well. Violet McCamey, John Frost, and Lizzie Novak One Chicago crossover 2025. While their screen time is limited compared to the other major characters, paramedic Violet McCamey and Dr. John Frost make an underrated pairing as they work together to provide aid for injured civilians during the start of the crossover event. Violet was initially hesitant to join forces with Frost because, before their call, the paramedic questioned the reasoning for having a doctor for a ride-along. However, when they arrive at the scene of the gas explosion, Violet and Frost prioritize their duty to save lives when Violet, her partner Lila Novak, and Frost are treating several wounded civilians. Security agent Lauren Bates criticizes Violet for not treating another individual with a head injury as quickly as others. However, Frost defends his fellow paramedics, especially when mentioning that Violet is in charge of the situation. He goes on to say Violet is doing a good job of making sure every person is treated in turn based on the severity of the injuries. 4. Hank Voight and Dom Pascal. Two of Chicago's strongest leaders finally work together. Chief Dom Pascal and Hank Voight One Chicago crossover 2025. Sergeant Hank Voight and Chief Dom Pascal are two of the toughest characters in the franchise. Both men are caring and skillful leaders in their respective units, and their leadership is key to this crossover event because their main priority is to make sure everyone comes out alive. Along with their toughness, both commanders also express some vulnerability, especially when they learn that Stella and Ruzek are trapped in a train filled with rubble and low oxygen levels in the Chicago Med-Fire PD crossover. Pascal and Voight have meaningful conversations when their units discuss strategies for how to rescue Stella, Ruzek, and the passengers. There's also some minimal comic relief when Al Capone is referenced because of how the gangster used the same tunnel the passengers are trapped in. Pascal and Voight's final handshake and appreciation for each other's work ethic may be a sign of a strong working relationship between the two in the future. 3. Kim Burgess and Caitlin Lennox. This pairing matches up well even after their disagreement. Caitlin Lennox and Kim Burgess One Chicago crossover 2025. The confrontation between Detective Kim Burgess and Dr. Caitlin Lennox is one of the most dramatic during this crossover. There's a moment when Burgess and Voight urge Dr. Lennox to let them question a severely burned woman regarding her potential involvement in causing the gas explosion. However, the head of the ED refuses, infuriating the police officers because they desperately want information from the suspect to save Ruzek, Stella, and the train passengers stuck in the rubble. Lennox is calm and serious when mentioning how the health of her patient is her top priority, while an infuriated Burgess expresses her frustration by threatening Lennox's job security. The argument between Burgess and Lennox underlines their resilience to stay true to their jobs even if that'll infuriate others. The two manage to show compassion to each other when Lennox reveals important information about the burned woman, leading Burgess to thank the lead doctor for her help. 2. Mooch McHolland and Trudy Platt. The couple's vulnerability is revealed now more than ever. Trudy and Mooch in One Chicago crossover. The most emotional part of the One Chicago crossover involves Trudy's near-death experience. As Trudy holds one of the gas explosion perpetrators at gunpoint, another one shoots Trudy in the back. When Mooch finds his wife, he is devastated and stays by her side throughout the show. Generally, Mooch and Trudy are two of the funniest characters in the One Chicago franchise with their sense of humor and banter towards their colleagues and in their relationship. However, this crossover showed the couple in a more somber light. Mooch and Trudy's relationship was slightly strained during the start of the crossover because Trudy was upset over the fact that Mooch forgot about her birthday. When Trudy is being treated at Med with experimental and high-risk treatment, Mooch is sad and critical towards Ripley, Lennox, and the doctors because he fears losing his wife. Mooch and Trudy's vulnerability is shown more than ever before, unveiling an emotional side to the couple that's rarely seen. Since Trudy fortunately survived, Mooch will be more motivated in his future duties as lieutenant. 1. Stella Kidd and Adam Ruzek. An effective pairing that works during a rough situation. Adam Ruzek and Stella Kidd with train passengers in One Chicago Crossover 2025. The partnership between firefighter Stella Kidd and Detective Adam Ruzek was front and center in this crossover event. They are two of the characters who nearly died while trapped in a train covered in rubble due to the effects of the gas explosion. Stella ends up stuck with the train passengers because she tries to get them out of the tunnel, while Ruzek finds himself on the train due to his pursuit of a potential suspect responsible for the gas explosion. Stella and Ruzek manage to work well together because they do their best to ensure the safety of the passengers. They both also go through intense scenarios, such as aiding a young man who can't breathe and explaining to the passengers their need to preserve phone usage so they can get through to their colleagues with minimal cell service. Stella and Ruzek are also part of two of the biggest relationships of One Chicago, with Stella's marriage to Kelly Severide and Ruzek and Kim Burgess' future wedding, making their near-death experiences agonizing. Enjoy Screen Rant's primetime coverage? Click below to sign up for our weekly Network TV newsletter. Make sure to check Network TV in your preferences, and get the inside scoop from actors and showrunners on your favorite series.